Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
In Time by mangel05. Luffy has saved Wano, and as Kaido falls to his presumed death, Luffy wishes that Ace were there to see his actions, to have enjoyed the fight for freedom. But alas, Ace isn't there. Or is he? Where Luffy goes back in time and changes a few things. Adios.
In the lowest level of Impelled Down, named the Eternal Hell, was a man who refused to go after one Portgas D. Ace. His name was Jinbei. The blue-skinned whale shark-fish man snarled as the chains holding his body still were tightened as the door to his cell was opened. A guard grinned evilly down upon him before he lifted the heavy club and began to beat the fishman as he pleased. Blood splattered upon the ground as the former warlord refused to scream. As soon as the beating was done, the chains were tightened even more. "I will not run from you," Jinbei yelled as the doors slammed shut. "Even if I was free to walk about, you honorless ass." The guard grinned at him. "No, but your spirit will be crushed before we kill you," he said as he laughed. A chill ran down the older pirate's spine. As the beast guard stomped off, Jinbei groaned. "Can't even scratch to itch," he muttered quietly. "His words do not have a sting to them and therefore cannot hurt me," he thought. "What hurts is that I cannot stand up for those who will need me very soon. A war is coming." Ha 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 ha. Laughter sounded from a nearby cell, causing the blue whale shark man to look at his neighbor. War is inevitable. Crocodile. Jinbei knew the former warlord was one for revenge. He wondered who would come for the man. "I just regret I won't be able to stop the coming war. I would sacrifice my life if it meant stopping it. They have no idea the kind of destruction Whitebeard will cause to save one of his sons." "Destruction?" Crocodile asked. "Just be thankful it's only Whitebeard who will be fighting." The sand logia user leaned his head back against the cell wall. "Be thankful that man isn't a part of the war or else all their carefully laid plans would fail." "Are you talking about red-haired?" Jinbei asked, only for laughter to fill the floor from Crocodile. "If only," he answered. "If Mugiwara catches wind of this, I am certain the Marines will fail in killing the strongest man alive and his sons." Jinbei's eyes widened as his jaw dropped. "Kill Whitebeard?" Jinbei half-asked, half-prayed to be a lie. "Do you really think you were jailed for standing against the capture and murder of Portgas D. Ace?" The look Jinbei gave told the other man that yes, he had. Ace is only one small fish in a big pond. They want Whitebeard and they'll get their war for it. As silence returned between them, Jinbei was left with his thoughts. Who is this Mugiwara? Yes, he had heard of the young man racing across the seas like Calypso herself was chasing him. But just who was this man, the one Ace called a brother? As soon as they came to the next level, Luffy turned towards Mr. 3. "Since you can't go very far, I have a very special mission for you," he said, grinning like an idiot. Buggy and Bon Clay looked at the Straw Hat teen. "Why would I do another mission for you?" Mr. 3 asked. "Because if you don't, then everything will fail," Luffy exclaimed. "If we fail, we die and so will Ace." Mr. 3's eyebrow twitched. "Fine. Once I get down to level 4, you and Buggy can return up top. As you do, release everyone as you go." He looked at Buggy. "You're a smart guy. I'm certain you can rally everyone in rioting and gain new comrades in helping Ace." He gave Buggy a thumbs up in his confidence in him. He then looked at Bon Clay. "I could use your help though. If you'd stick with me a bit longer." Hancock stated there were people in level 6 that could help me that are super strong, dangerous, but super strong, and that they hold a grudge against the government too. Bon Clay gave him a smirk. "Of course I'll help you. I'm a loyal friend after all." He spun in a ballet dance form to show just how serious he was. "Awesome!" Luffy cried out joyfully. Looking around the level they were now in, he was kind of reminded of Alabasta, as it was a desert. "What's this level called?" "Third level, Starvation Hell," Buggy said, looking around at the cells covered in sand. Bon Clay grinned. "I was here for a while before a guard touched me and I swapped places with him." "That's how you ended up in my cell?" Mr. 3 yelled at the crossdresser. "Maybe." Bon Clay refused to admit that he'd gone looking for other Baroque Works members but only ended up for Mr. 3 by accident. Luffy suddenly got an idea. Is there anybody left on this level? Bon Clay blinked at him in surprise. A few. He cocked his head at Luffy's question. Why? Luffy grinned. Might need them to cause some chaos. He said, she. He then turned to continue running down the stairs. Across the sea at Mary Joie's in the Marine base, Fleet Admiral Sengoku growled in frustration. What do you mean Straw Hat Luffy has infiltrated Impel Down? Across the room, Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp choked lightly on the cookie cracker he had in his mouth before slowly turning his head towards his longtime friend's words. Damn, Brad did what? Garp. Sengoku ended the Denden call. Your grandson is causing trouble again. Garp laughed. This is serious. He's infiltrated Impel Down. There hasn't been an escape attempt there in 20 years. Garp took another bite from his favorite cracker cookie. As if that's not enough. Portgas d'Ace is missing and nobody can find him in order to arrest the damn brat. He suddenly grabbed the box of cracker cookies from Garp. Hey! Garp yelled. Get off your ass and do something about your grandsons. Sengoku threw back a few cookies into his mouth. Ah! My cookies! Garp yelled as he ran after his friend. Those damn brats are going to pay. Maybe I've been too light on them. Time for another fist of love. Suddenly Jinbei heard new alarms going off. They're sealing the prison. He wondered what in the world was going on. Newbies must be trying to escape. Crocodile mused. He really could use a smoke right now. His hook tapped the cell bars. They're fools to think they can do so. Nobody has escaped Impel Down in well over 20 years. Then why do you look hopeful? Jinbei wondered. You know something, don't you? Jinbei heard the elevator suddenly stop. Boa Hancock stepped out with the jailers walking behind her. You've always been the empress who never cared about a summons, but here you are after the government has summoned you for an illogical war. She looked down her nose at him as she stepped towards his cell doors, her snake near her to protect her from the sight of the other prisoners. So, you're the one called Jinbei. Do not snarl at me like a beast. She told him with a snark of her own. The prisoners began to make catcalls towards her. She gave them a cute look. Oh, so scary. She flirted. If people thought she needed her devil fruit to cause men to act like idiots, they were wrong. Jutting out her chest just a bit, arching her back just right. You're scaring me, she feigned. The jailer warden, Magellan was his name, suddenly growled at the men for calling him names and making such noises towards the empress. It would seem you all need a reminder as to who is in charge here. He activated his own devil fruit. His body began to change to a dark, crimson colored as an oozing mist covered his body. His eyes also appeared more sinister as a toxic scent filled the air. As he began to harm the prisoners, Boa turned quickly towards Jinbei. A man has come down here. His name is Straw Hat Luffy. She told him, even as the screams behind her covered her voice from the other jailers. He is coming here to release everyone in the prison, but he is truly here to gain help in helping his older brother escape the clutches of the world government. Portgas d'Ace. She gave him a pleading look. Help him. She whispered before turning towards the screaming prisoners just as they began to go quiet from fear after watching their fellow prisoners die as the poison from Magellan's devil fruit killed them. Magellan approached her. Empress, you may speak freely now, he told her proudly. I am done here. She told him, no longer needing to speak to the former warlord. Crocodile looked at Jinbei. After the warden and his people left, he spoke. What did she say? Jinbei began. To worst case scenario has come true, he stated, causing the sand logia to raise a brow at him. Straw Hat Luffy is here and he's coming to free everyone in order to help Whitebeard and subsequently his brother, Portgas d'Ace. Wide eyes looked at him with shock as the fishman laughed again. It would seem fate wants me to continue to fight for justice and freedom a bit longer, he grinned. Let's see what Straw Hat has in store because I have a feeling it's going to be fun. Luffy panted as he continued to climb the stairs. I was going down, but now I'm going up. This place is so confusing, I'm so hungry too, he said to himself. Ace better appreciate this. Luffy suddenly felt something ping off his observation hockey. Turning, he saw gunmen begin shooting at him. Again, he thought as he dodged their nets. Sea stone infused nets, he gasped. I didn't think they had those things. He dodged each shot. That was close. Suddenly a huge sphinx lion beast jumped towards Luffy when a scream echoed out to gain its attention. "You stupid lion! Come get me! I am a stupid worthless pirate hunter." Luffy's eyes widened when saw Zoro standing there. "Over here!" He suddenly turned around and slapped his ass. "Come and get me." "Huh?" Luffy questioned in confusion. "That doesn't seem like Zoro." Just then the screams of several dozen men was heard as the prisoners on the level had been let out. Leading the group was Buggy and Mr. 3. "Fooled you." Zoro's voice changed as Bon Clay jumped down at the beast. Swan Arabesque. Bon Clay spun around and used the momentum of the spin to slam his foot into the giant beast's face. The man began to laugh wildly as the group found the snipers of guards and began to beat, kick and bite their way through. Buggy, who had found a weapon, a giant axe, swung the weapon at a soldier's head before separating his feet from his body. The two limbs jumped up and shot out at different directions a single buggy ball. The resulting explosions took out half of the floor, which began to crack and crumble beneath everyone's feet. "Oh no!" Luffy thought as Bon Clay grabbed Luffy and threw him and himself off and away from the quickly dissolving floor. Buggy groaned. "This may have not been my most brilliant of plans." As he and the others fell to the floor below them all, Luffy outstretched his arms, wrapping them around Mr. 3 and Buggy, all the while the rest of the escapees fell to the next floor. Above them a security dendon relayed what had happened to the control center. The guards gasping in shock at the audacity of this young pirate. It was time they told the warden what was happening in order to stop the ensuing chaos. "Gomu Gomu Whip!" Luffy cried out as he slung his leg out and slammed it into several beast jailers, throwing them into the pit below that led to the next level. "Spin, spin!" Bon Clay yelled out as he spun as a ballerina, taking out several more plump jailer beasts. "Chop Chop Festival!" Buggy yelled out as his body parts separated and shot out at their opponents, blocking their escape, and began to attack them with his body parts. However, his feet remained on the ground, making them vulnerable to attack. Fortunately, Mr. 3 created a barrier around Buggy's vulnerable body parts, stopping the round beast jailers from attacking him. Mr. 3 then used the last of his creative energy to create a sled that they could use to ride down into the pit towards the next level. "That's the last that I can spare without passing out." He looked at the pile of bodies Bon Clay and Luffy had left behind in their wake. "Incredible. They're both such monsters. Remind me to never piss off that transvestite," Buggy whispered. "He's actually quite terrifying." "No kidding," Mr. 3 thought. "Is it ready?" Luffy inquired as he looked at the sled. "Oh, that looks steady." He jumped into it. "Let's go." "How?" Buggy asked as he jumped into it as well. As soon as Bon Clay and Mr. 3 got in as well, Luffy laughed. She. He then slammed his fists onto the floor in front of them, using armament hockey to strengthen the hit. This caused the cracks to expand, running towards the group and weaken the ground below them. Once the second hit slammed into the floor, the sled with its occupants fell straight down. "Ah!" The three men screamed, terrified and grasping each other. The sled hit the ground below only for it to be softened. Luffy looked under the sled and saw the unconscious beasts they had thrown down the pit. Luffy looked at his group of semi-allies and gave them a thumbs up. "We're good," he stated with a chuckle. "You're crazier than that guy that I grew up with," Buggy exclaimed. "Scratch that, you're crazier than my old dead captain." Luffy laughed. She. It's not funny," he screamed at the kid. "He shaved off 10 years of my life with his stunts. I'm only 38, I shouldn't have all these worry lines yet." "Why live a boring safe life?" Luffy stated. "Life is too short to do so. It's better when it's exciting." He jumped off the sled and slid down the pile of unconscious beasts. "Is this level 4? He asked when he spotted a large opening with hot air billowing out towards them. "It's hot," he thought before looking up at the opening of the pit. Hotter than up there had been. Bon Clay approached the ledge. "Straw boy, come here." Luffy walked up to the ledge and gasped at the heat hitting him. It felt like a volcano down there. "Is this level 4? He asked once more. "Yes." Bon answered darkly. "The blazing hell." Luffy swallowed thickly. Behind him he saw Buggy helping Mr. 3. No wonder Mr. 3 stated he couldn't go further down or he'd die. He thought before looking back. "Tell them they can start going back. I'll go on by myself." "No," Bon Clay said. "I'm coming too, Straw Boy." You're my friend and I made a promise." Luffy grinned. "Why wasn't I informed sooner of this infiltration?" Warden Magellan's voice echoed across the room of his subordinates. "It wasn't totally our fault that you knew nothing," his second-in-command stated, making him upset. "You just had to show Miss Hancock the prisoner." Venomous poison began to emit vapors into the room. "So yeah, your fault." His second suddenly felt lightheaded. "Warden, close your mouth, you're going to kill us." "You don't think I can do my job?" he snarled. Nervously his subordinates backed away. "Of course not, you're quite effective at doing it." A woman dressed in what looked like a pink BDSM bodysuit walked into the room. "Looks like the guest has left," she spoke. "Oh, Mistress Sadie," he greeted respectfully. "The riots on the first 2 levels are being attended to by my people." "So are we going to hunt down the infiltrator and his accomplices?" she stated, sounding quite bored. "You're just the person for the job," the warden stated as he turned towards the video monitors. "Who is stationed on level 3? "Minotaur is on that level," she moaned slightly. Suddenly the doors burst open. Straw Hat and his group have entered level 4. Magellan snorted. "It seems Minotaur has failed." He walked out of the room towards the elevator. "I will deal with these pests." As soon as Bon Clay rejoined Luffy, the man began explaining this level in grim detail. "A river of boiling blood?" Luffy wondered. "I hope they're cooking something other than prisoners down there because this place already sucks." "Trust me when I say this," Bon Clay stated grimly. "From this moment on you'll be constantly in danger. Your life can end at any moment. One wrong step and it's over." Shit. Luffy thought. I knew I should have paid more attention to Robin as she talked about this place that one time. "Bon?" The man looked at Luffy. "Why are you really helping me? I know there has to be reason other than being my friend." The man smiled. "I've heard that there's this man who was wrongly imprisoned. People call him a miracle. He is known as Eva." Luffy could have sworn that there were stars in Bon Clay's eyes. "He's the queen of the Kamabaka kingdom. The pink paradise of the Grand Line. He's the leader of the queer folk. The queen of all queens." Bon Clay clasped his hands together and sighed. "Queen of all queens?" Luffy questioned before a wide grin spread across his face. "Sounds like somebody important." "I want to meet him face to face," Bon said with another sigh as he excitedly spun around. "If only for a moment." He stopped spinning. "Perhaps we can set him free." Buggy suddenly jumped in front of them. "I've made a decision. My debt isn't cleared yet. I'll continue with you two until I feel it is. Truthfully, I don't want to go through those other 2 levels with just that guy. Mr. 3 is weaker than me." "Cool," Luffy laughed lightly. "But can you survive level 4? It's pretty hot here and I don't want you to hurt yourself." This kid, Buggy felt touched. Looking out for someone like me, he wanted to cry. Luffy suddenly noticed he felt a bit cooler. Looking up at the ceiling he saw a fan, but it was getting further away. Is it me or is the ceiling going further away from us? "Huh?" all 3 men said in unison. Buggy thought. "You're right." "Is it getting cooler?" Mr. 3 inquired. "Yeah," Luffy agreed. Actually, Bon Clay looked around them as the rumble beneath his feet continued. "I think we're falling." "No way!" Luffy yelled with excitement. "Why are you excited?" Mr. 3 asked. "I'm going to melt into a puddle." "No you won't," Luffy stated with the utmost confidence. "You'll be alright." "We're falling into the hellfire below us," the others yelled. Luffy just grinned. In the cells of level 6, Jinbei felt a tremor go through the foundation against his back. "Oh?" he questioned. That wasn't a tremor from water or earth. That was a tremor from the prison itself. He looked up at the ceiling. The chandelier shook outside of the cells. "Straw Hat has begun his attack on the prison," Crocodile stated. "That hatchling is stronger than I thought." He grinned. His words confused Jinbei, especially since he seemed to smiling with pride up at the ceiling. "Just who are you, Straw Hat Luffy?" Jinbei thought as he relaxed himself. "If I'm going to be fighting, I'll need to begin conserving my energy and strength." At the gates of level 4 the guards and marine soldier under Magellan and his men waited for the invader Luffy to come through. "There's no way that boy can get through us," Magellan stated. "With the whole of my forces here." "Warden," one of his men yelled out. "We've gotten word that Straw Hat Luffy and his forces have been seen on this floor already. He bypassed the gate by knocking the ceiling down. Warden Magellan looked up at the tall ceiling. Impressive, he thought. Even for a pirate. The ceiling is directly above the boiling pool of blood, he yelled. From what's been reported, they used a falling piece of slab and landed into the blood pool before jumping to safety. The guard answered quickly. What luck. Magellan though. There's more. The guard said nervously. It would seem that the champion Minotaur has been defeated on level 3 and has not moved, at all. Magellan growled. We already knew he failed. Do we know who defeated him? Apparently he was taken out by an explosion along with several other beast guards. The guard answered. Unknown how Straw Hat got explosives into the prison. Mistress Sadie cried. I can't believe it, my poor baby. Enough, Magellan growled out, getting annoyed by his own people. There are only 2 ways of leaving level 4 without dying. The staircases leading up to level 3 and down to level 5 and the elevator. Both are heavily guarded. His voice took on a commanding tone as he looked at his second-in-command. Hanayabal, I want you to take these stairs that lead to level 3. I am placing you in charge here. I want all access blocked. He looked at the woman before him. Mistress Sadie, I want you and your special demon guards to take these stairs that staircase to level 5. Nobody escapes. No, that's going to bore me to tears. She complained as false crocodile tears ran down her cheeks. I wanted to punish those bad boys. Unless my outfit didn't make that clear enough to you. Are there any objections? Magellan snarled as wisps of poison escaped his breath. The guards covered their mouths with their hands and whimpered a round of no's. Oh, and once they are captured, you can punish them as you like. This mad Mistress Sadie absolutely happy. Yay, she squealed with joy. This ends now, he growled as he began to walk off. They have played games, made fools of all of us and have caused irreparable damage to impel down. A dark aura began to form around his body from his anger. The blazing hell will be their last stop. Gomu, Gomu slingshot. Luffy's voice rang through the area as Buggy, Bon Clay and Mr. 3 took out the stragglers. As Luffy's body slammed into the level 4 jailers, Mr. 3's wax ability was soon null and void as he no longer could form keys to help the prisoners escape. Buggy picked up a new weapon that one of the guards had dropped, another axe. Where were these axes come from? Luffy's legs stretched, slamming into another guard as the prisoners ran to escape the level to get a little relief at level 3. Buggy was worried though. The kid was a true powerhouse, sure, but brute strength wasn't going to get him to his goal, or was it? He'd seen Luffy perform the impossible. Like what happened at Logatown. The screams of the guards caught the jester's attention as 4 out of 6 fell to their deaths into the bubbling, boiling blood pool below the bridge. Luffy's legs snapped back to their original form and length. Panting, Luffy turned to see how the others were faring. They were jumping around trying to avoid the burning floor. Why don't you guys just use hockey on your feet? He asked them curiously. His 3 companions looked at him in awe and with some jealousy. Because not everyone can do that, Buggy screamed at him. I'm lucky if I produce enough hockey for observation, let alone capable of armament. The jester cried. He really is just like Shanks. A prodigy through and through. Buggy's depression deepened at that thought. Here he was almost as old as his captain was when he died, and barely anybody knew the name Buggy. There's got to be a running joke in the universe about me and my misery, he thought as he tried not to get burned by the floor tiles. I, myself, am just fine. Bon Clay claimed. I will admit it's a little steamy in here. His face suddenly started to change color to a bright red. Okay, maybe a little more than steamy. Shut up. You're more exhausting than the heat, Mr. 3 grumbled. Luffy suddenly smelled something in the air. I think I know which way we need to go, he stated as he rushed off without telling them. Hey, where do you think you're going? Buggy yelled after him. Bon Clay turned towards Buggy's voice. Now where could he be going? An idea appeared in his mind as he heard a deep rumble. The kitchen? The kitchen! The other 2 yelled out. Buggy rushed after the other 2. I'm not gonna lie. Food does sound good right now. An image appeared in his mind of his favorite snacks and such. I'm kind of hoping for some booze too. He grinned at the thought when he was suddenly grabbed by Mr. 3. Wait, Buggy! He yelled after the other man. I don't think that's food you're smelling. The 2 watched in horror as the other 2 continued on ahead. Luffy's stomach rumbled with something fierce. It smells so good. He looked to his haki-covered feet and legs. So not everyone can use haki. Sabo never said that in his training. He knew from experience that some had it. He could sense it in them. Their wills were strong, and that's what made his opponents so fun to fight. Even Crocodile had haki. He thought back to the ex-warlord. Though now that I think about it, he didn't use it on me. Does that mean he had the potential but never trained to use it? There he is. He heard men yell ahead of him. A group of guards began racing to stop him. Stop Straw Hat Luffy. Damn, there's a bunch of them, he gasped as his stomach rumbled loudly. I need to eat, he grinned at the prospect of another fight. This heat is getting to me, but I'll be okay once eat some meat. Jumping into the air, Luffy stretched a punch with a fist, then his foot before twisting out of the way of a spiked trident weapon which spun him upside down mid-air. Bringing a leg down, he quickly landed upright as a pile of unconscious men were left on the burning ground. Using his continued momentum, Luffy jumped into the in a fast spin. Gomu, Gomu, fireworks! He cried out as he punched and kicked wildly at his enemies. Screams ensued as the ground exploded from the armament haki-encased attack. Guards were thrown this way and that, landing unconscious or almost falling into the boiling blood below them. Gomu, Gomu, whip! Luffy screamed as his legs stretched and slammed into even more guards. Where are they coming from? He wondered. Nearby, Magellan groaned as he was once again hit by a battery of intense abdominal pain as he relieved himself on his mobile throne of sword. Sir, teams A and B have encountered Straw Hat and are fighting him. Unfortunately, they're not doing so well. He's defeated everything we've hit him with, another guard cried out. Back at the battle scene, Bon Clay jumped into the fray. Transvestite Kenpo. Spinning summer grand fluette. He spun incredibly fast on the tips of his toes, jumping into the air, and went through a crowd of guards, kicking and spinning through them until he came out the other side. The group of men fell unconscious from the attack. The guards rushed towards Magellan. Groups A and B have been whipped out. Groups C, D and E have major losses. Magellan snarled in fury, his eyes glowing from his anger as his power surged forward. Buggy pulled his arm out of Mr. Three's grasp as the wax man had pulled him with him towards the upper area that looked down at the walkway they had been on. What's going on, partner? Why'd you drag me up here? He then saw the guards Luffy and Bon Clay were fighting. There had to be well over 100 of them. What the hell? Now you see, Mr. Three stated with urgency. I've been noticing that there weren't guards where there should have been. That even the torture pits here lack guards. I think we need to check the staircase to the next level because I have a feeling there's going to be mass amounts of guards there. I have a feeling that we're being ambushed here on level 4. What? Buggy gasped, his heart accelerated and tightened with fear. Are you saying that the levels prior weren't filled with guards because they've been waiting for us down here? Look for yourself. He pointed downward towards Luffy and Bon Clay's fight. They're boxing us in on this level. That means they only want Straw Hat, Buggy gasped in realization. Because we weren't even coming down this far until that kid. That's not what's troubling, Mr. Three said with a sense of doom. If they're willing to send this many guards down here to stop Straw Hat Luffy, Buggy gulped, then that means they'll be sending the best of the best. They're all-star fighters, and I'm not just talking about their demon beast fighters, Warden Magellan. Aw fuck. Buggy thought hopelessly. He'd heard of that man. He didn't care if you lived or died, he was a monster from hell. Luffy rushed forward, his fist slamming into a guard's stomach. Get out of my way, he snarled when a glob of purple ooze fell from above. Luffy jumped back. Damn it. He hadn't been paying attention and therefore had allowed his observation lapse a bit. Now that he pushed it outwards, he realized that they were in trouble. A monster has appeared, he thought. Well, I did poke the tiger a bit over the last few hours. Jumping backwards, he landed next to Bon Clay, who released the unconscious guard he'd been fighting with. Oh no, Bon Clay gasped in horror. He hadn't been expecting him of all people to show up yet. It's time to put a stop to your buffoonery now, boy, Magellan snarled, his anger present in his voice and stance as his body oozed purple slime. What is that? Luffy wondered as he sniffed the air. It smells like poop. He cracked his knuckled. Right. I don't know what this guy's power is, but it's obviously a devil fruit type ability. Luffy noticed how frightened Bon Clay was. He must be terrifyingly strong and powerful to have Bon so scared. "It's Magellan," Bon Clay gasped out. "You're dead now, you criminal S," Magellan snarled out. The semi-conscious guards whimpered. "Warden, please don't fight yet. Let's get out of here," another cried out as the still conscious guards quickly made for an escape. Luffy frowned. So this guy is the warden. He thought. So he's gotta be the strongest. Bon. Back Uren to get hurt. Especially once he unleashed his next move. "I need to see what I'm dealing with here in order to defeat him." He watched the purple ooze sizzle the ground but no corrosion. "It's not acid. Poison?" he thought. "I know I'm immune to some poisons, but not all of them. If that stuff touches me, I'll need Bon to get me out of harm's way quickly." Stepping forward, Luffy readied himself. Straw Hat, no. That's Magellan. He's the user of the venom fruit. He's the last person you want to fight. Run away, Bon Clay cried out. "I never have and never will run from a fight," Luffy said in a low voice. "If you need to, then run, Bon. But I'm not budging. I came here with a purpose and will achieve my goal." He then grinned. "What's a little pain to get it?" Above them, Buggy and Mr. 3 heard Luffy's words. "Is he some kind of stupid?" Buggy asked. Though those words definitely sound like something Roger would have said. The two men turned to run. "Quite the little rampage you've gone on here in my prison," Magellan stated. "But it ends here, now, however. First I want you to tell me how you broke into my prison. You will spill every juicy detail and the person or persons that helped you will perish for their crime." "I'll die first," he adamantly stated, "but since I don't have time to do that, let's just get this fight over with because I really have to get down to level 6, he grinned. "You," Magellan stammered. What kind of shaking himself out of his shock? "Very well. Die then, criminal." His body began to completely cover itself in the purple oozing poison. Hydra. A snake-like extension of himself shot out from his back towards Luffy, who easily dodged it. "Straw Hat, don't let that touch you," Bon Clay screamed. "If it touches you, it'll be the last thing you do." "Maybe." Luffy grinned ferally. "If I were a normal person." Steam began to fall off of Luffy's body as his entire skin turned slightly pink and shiny from the sudden increased blood flow. Gear second. Luffy began to shoot across the area, destroying the buildings, support structures and walls of everything nearby, which began to fall towards the bridge that the warden was standing on. The poisonous gaseous snake Hydra on Magellan's back zipped after him but was unable to keep up. Realizing that the boy had somehow gotten faster, Magellan turned his attention towards Bon Clay. The Hydra was redirected towards the transvestite, who cried out as he was about to meet his doom when Luffy's body shot out towards him, and in a single breath Bon Clay and Luffy were behind Magellan. As Bon Clay sat up, he stared in awe at Luffy. "What are you waiting for?" Luffy asked in a yell. "Run." "Straw Hat," Bon Clay cried. "You've shrunk." Indeed, Luffy had shrank to a child form. "Damn, I was hoping that wouldn't happen," Luffy said. "It's okay, I just need food." Bon Clay suddenly picked him up. "Then we shall flee," he yelled as they ran. "But I don't want to run," Mini Luffy cried out in Bon's arms. "Too bad, I want to live," he yelled back as he quickly escaped the crumbling bridge, as the rubble from Luffy's attacks came tumbling down from above. Magellan gasped in surprise as the bridge began to fail beneath his feet. Flinging his arm out, the warden shot the Hydra at the escaping duo. Luffy suddenly blew into his thumb, causing the appendage to expand. Gomu hand barrier. He put the expanded appendage behind Bon as they ran before spreading out his armament Haki Anta in an attempt to stop any effect from the poison coming towards them. Preparing himself for the inevitable, Luffy clung to Bon and bit his lip, waiting for the pain to hit. As the Hydra hit its target, Magellan grinned, only for that look to change to confusion as the duo escaped his attack. "Impossible," he thought as he fell into the boiling blood below. As Buggy and Mr. 3 backtracked to the staircase towards the upper levels, they came to a sudden stop. The exit was indeed heavily guarded. "Damn it," Buggy cursed quietly. "You were right." "Yes, but if they're here, that means the stronger ones are busy with Straw Hat," Mr. 3 stated. "Think about it. These guys must be the weaker one in order to have been placed here, while the stronger guards that include the Demon All-Stars are all after Luffy and Bon Clay. After all, it's far more important for them to stop Straw Hat from reaching his goal than to stop him from returning to an upper level. So they're the crappy fighters, Buggy said with a chuckle. We can deal with them. He eyed the Vice Warden Hannibal. I've never heard of the second in command having any devil fruit. He eyed the large amount of men. Still, that's a lot of guards. I've got maybe 1 or 2 buggy balls left. We could possibly get past them, but we'll have to be fast. The 2 men jumped from their hiding place preparing to attack. Vice Warden, it's Buggy the Clown and Mr. 3. We must stop them, a guard yelled. Just as the 2 men were about to release their attacks, and as were the guards, the Vice Warden spoke, stand down. Huh? Everyone cried out in unison. Hey, once everything is said and done, it's actually Warden Magellan's fault that the prisoners went on a riot, or if some were to escape or even die mysteriously. Hannibal stated as he picked his ear. We don't really need to do anything that would put our lives in danger, and since he's in change, the higher up will just blame Magellan. I'll be promoted then. Bug and Mr. 3 stared in disbelief. The guards couldn't believe what they were hearing. Sir, are you sure you don't want us to stop them? Give us an order, anything? A guard asked him. All right, he sighed. Everyone, step aside. What? The guards yelled in unison. We've been expecting you to. Move aside. Let them through. Hannibal told the guards. Don't be rude to our guests. The 2 men were so dumbfounded they couldn't believe what was happening, therefore couldn't move. We're not stupid, Mr. 3 yelled out. We see through your trap, Buggy yelled as he extended his foot and a biggie ball shot out. The resulting explosion had all the guards crashing to the ground for cover. Hannibal spun his staff in the air, dissipating the smoke. Are you 2 idiots? He yelled, shocking the duo. I said you could go, he sighed. Just get. He pointed towards the door behind him. The 2 quickly sidestepped the lot. This is weird. Even for me, Buggy thought as they entered the staircase. As the door closed, Buggy heard a guard speak. Sir? A guard inquired. Just radio ahead that there are 2 prisoners headed towards level 3. Hannibal stated, they can deal with them up there. Buggy's eyes widened as he realized they'd have to fight just to get back to where they'd started. Pain. Unbelievable pain radiated through Luffy's body as the poison from Magellan's attack went through his tiny body. In his kid form, it would seem he was more susceptible to the poison attack. Luffy had hoped that wouldn't be the case. Panting against Bon Clay's shoulder, Luffy struggled to stay awake as his friend snuck past many guards. He supposed that it was best to allow this, even though he knew they would have to deal with these people on the way back up. He wondered how many hours he'd been fighting his way down by now. I can hardly move. Bon Clay looked at Child Luffy a bit. He's not doing well. He ran over to hide behind some pillars at the sound of heavy footsteps. Peering around the pillar, he saw Warden Magellan looking for them. If only I could sneak past him. Bon Clay looked down at his hand in disappointment when an idea came to mind. Perhaps I can. He grinned as he ran the opposite way. Just hang on, Straw Hat. He thought mentally as he ran towards the level 4 entrance. At the entrance he saw the entirety of what was left of the guards. Sitting Luffy down, Bon Clay hoped his friend wouldn't wake up. He'll get upset if he does. Bon Clay transformed his body into the lovely navigator that was a part of Luffy's crew whom he had touched. Oh boys, Bon Clay called out, waving at the guards, all of whom blushed once Bon Clay removed the prisoner top to reveal a nice bosom. Suddenly half of the guards passed out at the sight. What the hell? Hannibal's voice squeaked as he too fell over from the shock. Well, that was simple enough, Bon Clay stated as he walked over to Hannibal's unconscious form and touched him. The navigator's body transformed into the Vice Warden's. From the headdress to the wings on his back, Bon Clay quickly threw the body to the side and hid it. Laying down, he then waited for them all to be discovered. Thankfully that didn't take too long, as the warden returned and grasped who he thought was the Vice Warden's by the neck. What the hell happened here? He screamed at Hannibal. Bon Clay. We were attacked by that dancing ballerina prisoner, he cried out. He began spinning and kicking us. He was quite strong, a lot stronger than we were expecting. He and 2 others escaped back to level 3. He said, assuming the other 2 were still somewhere on this level. Hopefully Buggy and Mr. 3 will escape easily from here, he thought grimly. How could you just let them all escape? The warden growled. Guards, We must recapture those escapees. The warden looked back to his vice-warden. Was Straw Hat with those who escaped? I didn't see him. Hannibal Bon Clay stated hesitantly. The warden growled lowly. Straw Hat better not awaken. Bon Clay thought, hoping and silently praying to the god above. Thankfully someone took pity on the man as Magellan turned towards the doors that led to level 3. You're to stay here and search for the man. Magellan stated as he made a fist. Once he is found we will imprison him in level 5 where you will be killed by the cold or the wild wolves. Yeah, if the bastard is even still here. Hannibal stated. Unless of course Mistress Sadie and her demon beasts have found him. It was a ploy of course. Bon Clay had heard of Mistress Sadie but wasn't sure if the woman had been put into play yet. The warden waved his hand, dismissing the notion. I've already called her back. He stated, with the amount of poison I've used against Straw Hat, he'll be dead in 2 hours. Hannibal showed no outward emotion of this but Bon Clay wanted to cry. Straw Hat, then why'd I? Warden Magellan grasped Hannibal by his throat. Because I said so, I will not be the laughingstock of this prison. He released the vice-warden when his bowels began to make sounds. Damn it. He cursed as he walked over to his personal portable toilet. A dozen guards quickly grasping the poles and picked it up and carried the warden away. Shit. Bon Clay thought as he quickly ran over to where he had left Luffy. The young captain was no longer in his child form but was still unconscious. Picking him up, Bon Clay in Hannibal's form, ran through level 4 to level 5. Unfortunately he did come to a group of 2 guards waiting at the doors towards level 5. Groaning lowly, Bon Clay straightened himself out and walked with confidence and authority up to the 2 men. The extreme cold making him shiver but he could barely it. For Straw Hat I'll do anything. Vice Warden. The guards saluted him when they noticed the poison-covered man that was wrapped up and being carried by the warden. Bon Clay mentally slapped himself. Of course they'd noticed Straw Hat. Ah, we had a break-in. Warden Magellan ordered him to be placed by me personally into a cell on level 5. He explained. Harsh. One guard said feeling sorry for the man. No need to feel sorry for him. He did break into the strongest prison in the world. Hannibal, Bon Clay explained. He's an idiot. The guards laughed. Of course sir, the guards agreed. So the usual? Hannibal asked confused. No warm clothes. Wearing only what you have and no weapons to defend yourself from the wolves? The guards asked. You say you like proving to us how brave and strong you are, the guard explained. Of course. Hannibal, Bon Clay declared proudly. Be careful though. The other guard warned. The beast seemed quite agitated and aggressive today. No need to worry. Hannibal, Bon Clay stated without worry. I'm a professional here. Yes sir. They yelled in unison. As the door to level 5 was opened, Bon Clay grasped the roister for the level and found the name Emporio Ivankov with a line through it. This caused him to frown. Does this mean he's dead? No, he thought. I can't ask. If I do, it could be sign that I'm not the real deal. That man must be alive. He has to be alive. Straw Hat needs him. Placing the clipboard back he bravely walked into the freezing cold of level 5. Luffy felt as if he were dreaming. Before him was Ace and Sabo when they were kids. Ace was yelling at him for being stupid for touching a poisonous frog and trying to eat it. It hadn't been his fault. He'd been hungry and Ace hadn't wanted to stop for any berries in their journey. So he laid on the mat in their half-finished treehouse with a swollen face, ears and all-around feeling of being miserable. Ace, Sabo yelled at the dark-haired boy. You know how Luffy is. You should have taken snacks, like I told you to. He wastes them. Ace yelled back. He throws out the nuts and only eats the dried fruit. Then take only dried fruit. Sabo yelled back. What if his throat swells because of this? What if he suffocates? Then he's an idiot and deserves death, Ace yelled back, his eyes prickling at the edges. Damn it. He cursed as he ran over to Luffy and threw the tiny boy onto his back. I'll take him to Makino. That was the last thing Luffy heard before he woke up 2 days later with big sis, Kino taking care of him. He was fussed over by the green-haired barmaid for a week afterwards until both of his brothers came back down the mountain. By then neither Sabo or Ace were talking to each other. Sabo was angry at Ace for allowing Luffy to eat the poison-laced frog and Ace was angry at Sabo for not seeing his way in this. A month later, Luffy ate a poisoned mushroom on Sabo's watch. Ace felt vindicated when it was Sabo racing down the mountainside with Luffy's limp body. After that, both brothers put up a new rule: no eating poisonous animals or vegetation. Luffy pouted as his brothers breathed easier as Luffy always followed their rules on these things. Luffy's eyes opened. He was still hurt, so very badly. Shaking, he looked at the strange people above them. Of course, now he remembered. These people had saved them from those beasts. He had awakened to seeing Bon Clay being attacked from all sides by giant wolves. I think I took a bite out of one, he thought as he shook. His body was far too injured. He was certain he was dying from the poison in his system. Bon, he said his friend's name. Bon, he was trying to help me. He got attacked by those muscles tighten and spasm. He was being wrecked by the pain. Yes, he was certain he was going to die. He let out a gasp. Please take care of him, he cried out. He's my friend. I see, can't let him die. The man's eyes widened above him. As you wish. Unconsciousness soon enveloped him. Then the most intense pain erupted throughout his body. It felt as if his whole body was on fire. That his bones were turning to ash and then reformed again and again. His muscles spasming, twisting unnaturally and then tearing apart only to be put back together again. His blood ran dry only to be replaced by acid, and then the burning began anew only to be worse. So Luffy screamed and screamed and screamed. Was it for days? Was it for weeks? Or was it for months that he was tortured by this? It felt worse each time. He barely remembers what the man had told him. He remembers that it'll take 10 years off of his life. He remembers the man saying it'll be an intense treatment. He only has a 3% chance of survival. Ace needs me to live. Ace needs my help. He needs me to be strong. Imperial healing hormones. That's what that person had yelled before this process had begun. My will must be strong, he thought as another scream ripped out from him. For Ace. His arms pulled at the heavy and thick chains that were holding him to the metal table. Just as he thought the pain was ending, finally, he heard something. Straw Hat. The voice was familiar. It was filled with worry. Who is that? He wondered for all but a minute when an enormous and sharp pain, like lightning striking your spine, slammed through his entire being. He screamed. His scream was high-pitched and struck the hearts of those nearby. Ace. He thought, his heart clenched. Big brother. Jinbei looked up at the ceiling of his prison. It's been silent for several hours, he thought grimly. Did Ace's brother fail and get captured? He remembered his fight with the fire logia, how he showed such promise. These people wished to use him as bait for Whitebeard. But then never expected an inexperienced rookie to come here to gain allies for his brother in order to stop a war. He leaned back against the wall. His muscles ached from being in one position. Magellan will kill that boy, and if he doesn't, he eyed those on this level in their cells. Then one of these beasts will. There is no honor amongst these monsters. He silently eyed Crocodile. Except for one other perhaps. He watched Crocodile look up at the ceiling before a grin crossed the scarred-faced man's visage. Oh, something is happening. His attention returned towards the ceiling. Jinbei raised a brow. What is that? He wondered as his haki pressed against another's above him. It feels like a wild animal. A very large one at that. The haki struck down at him. Ah! Jinbei cried out, more in surprise than anything else. What the? Crocodile began laughing. His laughing growing in intensity and volume until it filled the entire level. Everyone turned towards the sound, some in curiosity while others, in fear. The sound ended with Crocodile looking at Jinbei. His eyes were wide and wild-looking, almost crazy. He's coming, he announced before laughter filled the level once again from the ex-warlord. The screams in Luffy's room stopped all of a sudden as those outside stopped their movements. After awakening, Bon Clay had been told what was happening to Luffy. That the treatment would take upwards of 3 days to complete. Long enough that Fire Fist would be brought to impel down. But word had reached them from the outside that Ace was still Mia on the island that the Marines had planned to capture him on. Though his crew had been executed. Luffy would be upset. It had been 20-odd hours since the treatment had begun. The queen of the Newcama, Emporio Ivankov, was standing next to Bon Clay. Silence this early is not good, he stated as blood leaked from under the door. His will wasn't strong enough, he thought sadly. His silence brings grim tidings, I'm afraid. No, Bon Clay said with a deep sadness to his voice. Straw Boy. A soft whimper escaped his lips. He was so certain that his dear friend would survive. Survival was only at 3%. Eva stated, his voice soft with remorse. A true pity. He fought valiantly for over 20 hours. Everyone began crying as the pool of blood trailed down towards them from the locked room that the young man had died in. When suddenly the chains rattled as the door was kicked from the other side. This startled many who jumped back. The door shook with another powerful kick from the other side, followed quickly by another and another. Suddenly a loud growling sound came from the other side, followed by a scream. Feed me, everyone cried out for joy. The boy had lived. He hadn't even gone a day. Eva thought with shock, just who is this boy? Joy turned into celebration as the Okama began making food and bringing everything that they had for the young man. The food was left outside the doors, which were opened. The boy had yet to exit the chamber when stretchy arms came flying out of the room, pulling food towards the occupant inside. As one prisoner described it, as a sand trap, because the young man truly was acting like one. His hunger was so great and intense that it took every morsel to feel his never-ending hunger before it stopped all of a sudden. As the clanking of a bowl dropping was heard, the group stared in wonder as the young man came out looking like a rounded blob. As he came to the doorway, in which he could no longer fit through, the Okama watched in disbelief as the boy inhaled deeply before his body digested everything and returned to his original form. I'm healed, he screamed as he lifted his hands above his head in victory. Shishishi. He laughed a laugh that sent shivers down everyone's spines. Now, let's finish what we started. Bon Clay felt more giddy than he had in the hours that had passed them by. Quickly running forward, he hugged the young man before pulling away. Whatever you say, my friend, he grinned. The prison guards won't know what hit them. Luffy sighed heavily as those around him stared at him in awe and wonder. Just 20 hours. It's a miracle. Is he even human? Nobody survives Magellan's poison attack. What is he? He ate so much. It went on and on as each of the strange people continued to speak. Luffy didn't care because no matter what they said, he survived, and now he had to get to the bottom of this prison and gain the support from there. Suddenly the crowd gathered around him, picked Luffy up and tossed him in the air, chanting his name, or at least his title, Straw Hat. Bon! Luffy cried out when he saw his friend suddenly faint. Jumping from the shoulders of the people, Luffy ran over to his friend, careful of his bandages, and gently touched him. You didn't just die on me, did you? Bon Boy is just fine. He's only exhausted from worrying about you, stated a voice from beyond Bon. It's best to let him rest for a bit. Looking up, Luffy saw the strangely dressed man, or is he a woman? Luffy thought, cocking his head in confusion. Oh, wait. Oh, it's you, Eva. He greeted the Queen of the Queers. If he remembered, that's how he had addressed himself. It didn't matter. He liked Eva. Maybe he'd join my crew. I'll ask later. Thanks, buddy. Your treatment did the trick. Thanks for helping my friend too. He grinned up at the man. Well, I did my best, Eva stated, trying not to take the praise to heart. I'm not the one you should be thanking. Bon Boy worked hard for you. Luffy seemed confused. Yes, I nudged you in the right direction, but it was his perseverance and belief in you that helped. He spewed blood, stayed by your side all night, and fought for you to stay alive. All through the power of friendship did he do this. It was quite ridiculous, but he even instilled in us the passion of his belief that you'd overcome this adversity. Luffy stared with amazement at his friend. He yelled, hang in there, or you can do this, Straw Boy. You have to live. Words of such conviction and encouragement. Eva wiped a tear away. It was so amazing to watch and experience. Eva looked down at the young man. I can't help but think that your miraculous recovery is all because of this man's efforts and belief in you. Luffy stared in disbelief at his friend. Thank you, Bon. He whispered to his unconscious friend. I owe you a great debt that I'll never be able to repay. I have your hat and clothes, but I'm afraid you cannot leave yet, as it will still take a few days for rest and recuperation for you to be back to yourself, Inazuma stated as he held out the clothing for Luffy. The young man looked at the warmly dressed man and smiled his thanks for his clothes being cleaned. Thank you for your worry, but I don't have time to wait to fully recover. I've already wasted too much time. I need to get to the bottom of the prison. Get some strong allies there, destroy the prison and then head out to my brother to kick some marine ass and stick it to the world government where the sun don't shine." Eva's jaw dropped. This young pirate's aspirations were undoubtedly the craziest he'd heard in a long time. Certainly something even Dragon would aspire to do, but never on that level of insanity. He thought with a wide grin spreading across his large face. "My goodness, Straw Boy. You have quite the laundry list to do, and yet I don't think it'll quite happen the way you want it to. Rarely do plans go accordingly." "Mine will," Luffy assured the man. "I hate to ask, as you've already done so much, but please look out for Bon for a bit. I'll be back for him later." Luffy turned to run off towards the quickest exit when he stumbled. "See, you can barely walk," one of the Okama told the young man. Luffy slowly pulled the Vivre card out to check on it. The edges were burning still, indicating Ace was hurting. "Good he's still alive," he said softly, ignoring the other man. "Before we came here, Bon said he was coming to help release you. Eva, aren't you going to escape too?" "He was coming to rescue little ol' me?" Eva looked at the unconscious man. "Well, isn't that sweet? But alas, I don't need to be saved. Here on level 5.5 I am the Queen of New Kamaland. I know what's going on the outside right now. I have my resources," he explained when Luffy looked at him shocked. "There's been a shift in the tide and a big change is about to take place. The world government and the Whitebeard pirates are about to go head to head. Even so, it's not time for me to break out." Luffy raised a brow, a silent request for Eva to explain why. "I'm of course referring to my comrade, the leader of the Revolutionary Army. You may know him as Dragon." Recognition came across Luffy's face. "Oh, you're talking about my dad," he stated nonchalantly. Eva smirked. "Yes, that's the plan." He turned his back towards Luffy, his mind not registering Luffy's comment. "When your dad makes his move, only then shall me and my fellows appear. Call it my grand comeback tour. If I were to escape from this place now, it would ruin all our well laid out plans." He suddenly paused in all thoughts and spun around towards Luffy. "DDD Dad!" he screamed in shock, causing his fellow Okama to jump in fright. "Dragon is your dad!" everyone screamed in unison. Luffy looked unimpressed and quite bored at the excitement everyone was showing. "Yep," he said with a shrug. Eva jumped backwards dramatically. "Your dear papa," he said in a daze. "And I, his friend, never knew." He screamed at Luffy. "Dragon has no children, don't be ridiculous." Luffy scratched his head. "Huh, maybe I shouldn't have said something. Gramps is always saying stupid stuff anyways." "Gramps?" Eva asked. "Yeah, Grandpa didn't keep it a secret, so I didn't think much of it," Luffy said with a shrug. "Big Brother Ace got all upset when I mentioned it a while back in our last communication, and Big Brother Sabo just laughed. So I didn't think it was that important." "Sabo?" Eva cried out. "No, it can't be the same person." "Oh yeah. Sabo works as the chief of staff for Dragon in the Revolutionary Army. Pretty cool, but he thinks he's gotta protect me all the time. Guess that's what big brothers do," Luffy stated with a grin. Eva's jaw dropped. "What, Sabo? Our Sabo is Dragon's older son. Ace is his eldest child. What the hell? Why didn't Dragon ever say anything?" A sudden memory came to his mind. "Boy, where do you come from?" he demanded. "Oh, Dawn in the East Blue," Luffy answered, not really thinking much about it. Eva's jaw would have hit the floor. "No way," he whispered. Dragon always was looking eastward as if he were mourning over something or someone out that way. Not only does this boy have an amazing recovery, he also comes from the bloodline of Dragon, and he has 2 older brothers, one of which I saw grow up. Just then it hit him. If he really is Dragon's son, this could be a disaster. Dragon will destroy this place to free this boy. Inazuma, begin preparations. We will be assisting Straw Boy from here on out." His right-hand man knew not to question Eva. Something had changed within a very short time. "Of course," he answered with a slight bow. "We don't have much time," Eva muttered softly. "Really?" Luffy asked. "You're really going to help?" Luffy then cocked his head in confusion. "Didn't you say this is level 5.5? Does that mean there's a level 6? "Yep," answered a woman behind him like it was obvious. Eva grabbed Luffy by his shoulders. "You need to keep that a secret. Don't tell anybody that you are Dragon's son." Luffy pushed himself away from Eva. Yeah, I just figured that out, he stated as he walked back over towards Bon. Bon, stay here and rest. I'll be back later for you. Eva then spoke out. I'm one of Dragon's revolutionary commanders. As such is the reason I was arrested. As of today I will support Straw Hat Luffy and begin recruiting those in level 6 to his cause. Those who wish to join are welcome to. He placed his hands on his hips. I just cannot stand idly by and watch my friend's son get himself killed. Tell everyone the plan. We are going to be breaking out of ill who wish to help Fire Fist Ace and bring those dogs in the government down to our level. Cheers filled the room. Meanwhile on level 3, Buggy couldn't believe their luck. The prisoners they'd released earlier had taken out the guards, placing them into the jail cells. Impressive, even by my standards, he muttered. How are we to get all these people out of here? Mr. 3 inquired. There's just too many. I don't think Straw Hat was really expecting so many to actually come with him. That might mean that they're expendable? He shook his head. If he's anything like Shanks, then that means he's expecting to find a ship in the harbor for everyone to escape on. He looked around the level as he saw that many were looking to him for leadership. Okay, you bunch lazy louts, here's the plan. Those of you who are wanting to escape probably heard old Straw Hat about his older brother Ace's plight. So we're all going to make a run for level 1 and get ourselves a ship. Straw Hat has gone further down to level 6 and said if we don't heard from him by mid-morning we're to leave. Not really, but who's to say the kid is even still alive? Buggy thought. If any of you survive the upcoming battle, I'll personally enlist you into my group. The Buggy pirates are always looking for capable fighters who are ready to cause a little mayhem, he told everyone. Plus I really don't want to fight an army of Marines, he whined mentally. The crowd of inmates all cheered at his words. As encouraging as those words are, Buggy, where are we going to find the ship to keep everyone on? Mr. 3 asked. Simple, the harbor will have battleship and other sizable ships in it. Buggy pointed out. All we have to do is escape from Impel and then take a couple of their ship. No big deal. And if we lose a few hundred here or there, that's fine by me. Magellan can't take all of us on at once. He and those beasts of his were no match for Straw Hat. Hopefully the kid took that warden out. Hopefully. Mr. 3 whimpered. Holy shit. I don't know why, but I've got a crap ton of energy. Luffy screamed as he, Eva and Inazuma raced through the snowy drifts of level 5. That would be from my second injection that I gave you when you passed out, Eva explained. It's good that it's working, Inazuma said. Otherwise we'd be up shit creek. Just don't waste it. Crude, Eva stated with a smirk. Just keep running, Straw Hat. There's no security on this level for some reason. So flex those muscles and run like your life depends upon it. As if I could do anything else. Luffy yelled as his body raced forward with speed that he's never had before in his life. Suddenly the giant ice wolves attacked them. Gomu, Gomu, fist barrage. Luffy screamed as he pummeled the beasts with his fists. Oh my, Eva said with a gasp. He hadn't really seen Luffy's abilities in person, and the monitor they'd see him fight on didn't do him justice. As his fists hit the beasts you could hear the cracking of bones as the creatures' bodies were beaten to a pulp. Death wink. Eva winked at the monsters in front of him, which sent a sonic wave of energy towards the creatures. The wave hit them with a full force of energy, sending them flying into the air and high above their little group. Inazuma, open the door, he yelled as they neared the door to level 6. Inazuma raced ahead and pulled the locking mechanism to the door. A click and a clank later the heavy door were pulled open. They're open, he yelled out, causing the two fighters to run from the remaining wolves. In the main control room of the prison the alarms began going off. The transponders are going off. Somebody is heading down from level 5 to level 6. A guard yelled, causing everyone to rush over to him. Oh my god. It's him. It's Ivankov. He's the self-proclaimed queens of the queers that went missing years ago, another guard yelled. Isn't that Straw Hat Luffy? I thought Magellan's poison killed him. Just who is this Straw Hat? Everyone thought. A third one is with them. It's another revolutionary, Inazuma. He went missing years ago. What the hell is going on? Vice Warden Hannibal's voice echoed into the room. He was holding up an ice pack to his head. After returning to the main level he had learned that the dancing ballerina had taken his form and disappeared into level 5. Now Straw Hat had reappeared after 20 hours of being Mia. Straw Hat Luffy has found 2 missing prisoners from years ago and they're making their way down to level 6. A guard responded. He looks upset. Is it possible the fake one is back? Since I can't blame the warden this time, get the passage traps activated and begin alerting Mistress Sadie about this. Hannibal ordered them. No, it's him. They all thought as they began activating the traps and alerting the teams on standby. From now on we'll be monitored. Inazuma warned the two as they raced down the stone corridor. Once in level 6, there's a man there that I think will be essential to your plight, Straw Hat. Eva told him. His name is Son of the Sea Jinbei. He's a former warlord that has refused to be a part of any fight against Whitebeard or his sons, including Ace. As they raced down the narrow hall they came in contact with the jailers who were waiting for them. Luffy stretched out his foot to block the oncoming troops before he bit his thumb, skipped over Gear 2 and activated Gear 3. He began blowing a large amount of air directly into his bones, causing the hand and a portion of the arm to inflate and increase in size. He then transferred the air through his entire body. The limb then became a size equivalent to that of a giant's body part. This caused both Eva and Inazuma to gasp in shock and awe at the incredible ability this young man possessed. The sound of guns being shot off was quickly followed by bullets being ricocheted off of Luffy's body as he transferred the air into his torso before it suddenly was transferred towards his arm, which slammed into the regiment of troops so hard that many of them would be sent to the infirmary very soon. Suddenly a still-standing jailer pulled a cord in the wall, causing spikes to shoot out from every imaginable way. What a boring little trap! Eva yelled as he spun quickly. Death wink. The spikes broke and splintered as the shockwave from the blast of energy hit the metal. Hee-haw! Eva yelled, quite immensely enjoying himself. I haven't had this much stimulating fun in years, he thought. You should probably not do that down here. Inazuma warned. Too much activity could cause an implosion, especially since we're basically on the seafloor now. He pressed the doors to the next level open. Which way now? Luffy asked as he stepped onto the floor. There were cells everywhere. Depends. Eva said. Who do you want to save first? Luffy grinned up at Eva. Well, everyone has been talking about this Jinbei guy, perhaps start with him. Of course, Eva said as he looked around. I've never been down here. The 3 men began running forward. As they passed cell after cell, Eva began recognizing a lot of the men in the cells as huge bounty prisoner. The colossal battleship is here, he thought as they passed the cell of Sanyuan Wolf. The hugely sized man would make even a giant think twice of fighting him. If I recall, some of Roger's old foes are down here, Ivankov thought. They suddenly came to a stop at a cell with a blue-skinned fish man. Are you Jinbei? Luffy asked as he looked at the man before him. He looked like a grand fighter. Probably a noble one too. Luffy grinned as the man cracked an eye open to look at him. You must be Straw Hat Luffy. Boa Hancock was here. Told me to help you, he said, sounding tired and anxious. There are many warriors down in this level. Why choose me? Because I heard you've refused to fight Ace's old man. Ace is my brother and has tried for years to find a place that makes him happy, and if that's Whitebeard, so be it. Luffy explained. So nobody puts a target on my big brother's back and tries to take his happiness away from him. Now I need help to keep those bastards from hurting Ace and their crew. So I'm rounding up every available fighter and freeing them if they agree to help Ace. And what should happen if they go back on their word? Jinbei inquired, knowing many would. Luffy stuck his finger into his nose to pick it. Simple. I'll throw them into the sea and let them drown, he stated as he flicked the booger away. So, will you help? Jinbei grinned. You know I do owe that brat another good fight, he stated, sounding ready for a good fight. Just then a crashing sound echoed across the level. At the entrance to the level where hours earlier Magellan and Boa Hancock had come down from the elevator, said elevator came crashing down, leaving no way up. At the top of level 1, Magellan grinned. Now Straw Hat will have no other choice but to go up through the stairways, as there is no other way for him to escape from this place. A guard looked down the long elevator shaft. Sir, as good of a plan this is, doesn't this mean we'll have no way down to get to him? Everyone stared at the warden, who seemed dumbfounded at this discovery. Damn it, a slow laugh caught Luffy's attention. Kuhahahaha. Luffy's eyes widened when he saw the slick dark-haired man with a wide chest, broad shoulders, muscular arms and legs, and a thick neck. His hair was messy with strands falling in front of his face. This was Crocodile whom he had fought back in Alabasta. Mugiwara. He greeted with a wide grin. We've been waiting for you, hatchling. Luffy cocked his head to the side in confusion. Hatchling? Luffy asked as he looked towards Eva. He's acting weird, he stated as he pointed at the former Desert King. Crocodile looked at the Queers nervously. We need to talk after this, he told the man with a growl, eyes glowing with anger. Oh, don't bring that attitude here, Croco boy. He looked over at Luffy. Not unless you want your little secret of the past revealed. Truthfully, the Queer Queen was a bit afraid of Crocodile, but he wasn't going to let that person know that. Crocodile looked at the man before him angrily. Think I care? He growled out. Dragon lied that day. His eyes looked towards Luffy before he looked away, hurt in his eyes. Release me and I'll help you escape. I'll blow a fucking hole into the ceiling. He looked at Luffy once more. I hear you are gathering people to fight for your brother. I've never met the kid, but his pops and I have a thing or two to settle. You help me escape and I'll help your brother survive to see another day. I can't promise you will, but I can help him. Screw you. Luffy screamed at the man. You left Vivi's kingdom in ruins. It'll take a decade, if not more, for them to get their country back to its former glory. Well, if it's any consolation, I have no interest in that country any longer. He smiled cunningly. I have something else that I find far more interesting standing in front of me that's more important. Luffy took a step back from the man. Eva stepped forward. However you may feel about this man, Straw Boy, we still need his assistance. If we have an opportunity to escape from here, we are obliged to take it. He looked at Crocodile. You behave, he said pointedly. No promises. Crocodile stated with a shrug. Very well. They heard Jinbei state. I will help you help your brother survive. I have known your brother since he joined the Whitebeard crew. He was such a hothead back then. He smirked. I told you he owes me a good fight. All right. Luffy cheered as he thrust his hands into the air. Plus you'll need someone who can keep that one, he nodded towards Crocodile, in line. Crocodile growled lightly. What can a fishman do without water? He jabbed at the older pirate. I could say the same thing about you, Jinbei piped back. Luffy grinned. He liked these two already, even if he didn't trust Crocodile, he felt that he could trust Jinbei. Inazuma, please release them both. Are you certain? Inazuma asked, sounding uncertain about that decision. Yep. Luffy stated with a grin. US 2, yelled another prisoner, we like Ace. I'd die for the guy, another prisoner yelled after the first. You lot, Ivankov growled. Are about to earn yourselves a death wink. The group of prisoners screamed in terror at the Queer Queen. She. Luffy laughed lightly at Eva's actions as Inazuma activated his devil fruits and began to pick the locks of the cells holding the two powerful men. As their chains were cut from them, the two exited their cells. If you think you'll stop the war between the Whitebeards and the Marines, you're crazier than me. Crocodile stated as he stepped forward. I don't give a damn, but I will repay you for this. I don't like owing debts. Then it's settled. Eva stated with a wide grin. With a team this formidable, even impelled down can't hold us, hee-haw. Luffy smirked. I'm coming, Ace, he thought. Oh, Inazuma, please release everyone else as we leave. The more chaos, the better, right? Eh? Eva asked. What? Both the Queer Queen and Inazuma yelled in terror. He's nuts. Crocodile thought before a pride-filled grin crossed his visage. Crazy little hatchling of mine. He gave a laugh before activating his devil fruit and began to bend the stone and sand on the floor until a spiral staircase appeared before them leading towards the next level up, level 5. Just then the alarms began to go off on the level. In the control tower, alarms on every level of the prison were going off. Prisoner escape on levels 6, 5, 3 and 2. A guard yelled out as he activated the traps on the levels, dispatched special forces to regain control of the prison. We have devil fruit users, Ivankov, Inazuma, Straw Hat, Crocodile, Bon Clay, Mr. 3 and Buggy the Jester all on the loose, along with over 400 non-users. Another guard yelled out over the loudspeakers, prepare the prison specialty bullets and be on the watch for devil fruit powers. An explosion on level 6 allowed the guard's special forces to pass onto the level. As they passed the cells holding the prisoners, a man inside one of the cells growled out, "Pathetic." One of the guards froze. "Shiryu," he gasped, "isn't he supposed to be dead? You all are like rats chasing their tails." He growled out, "While you've had your heads up your own asses, the prisoners have escaped up those spiral steps thanks to Crocodile." He grinned. "Pass a message to Magellan. Tell him I'll help him if he wants for a price." "And no, it's all right," the guard stuttered. "Humph." Shiryu leaned back against the cell wall. "We shall see." The guards quickly raced up the staircase. As they did so, one began to call back to control to see what they were to do other than chase these criminals around. One thing was for sure, neither Hannibal or Warden Magellan were going to be happy with this new problem. Crocodile inhaled the smoke from the cigar in his hand. Upon returning to level 5.5, they had been met with Ivankov's people. The former warlord looked towards the man on the floor. It was one of his former companions, Bon Clay. The man couldn't move but was quite awake and alive. Good for him. The ex-warlord thought as Inazuma walked towards him with a pile of clothes in his arms. It was odd that they had clothes similar to what he was used to wearing, but he really shouldn't be so surprised. Eva was anything if nothing but prepared. Eva stared down at Bon Clay. "Are you certain that you are ready? Imperio energy hormones will only let you be recovered for today. Afterwards it could be 3 to 10 days before a full recovery." "I'm certain," the cross-dresser yelled. "I mean, what choice do I have? I can't even get off of the floor. Otherwise I'm completely useless? Of course I could always carry you, but for the record, I don't want to," Ivankov stated as he held a hand up. "Imperio energy hormone." He stabbed Bon Clay into the side as he activated his devil fruit. Luffy walked over to Crocodile with Jinbei behind him. "Are you ready?" "Aren't you forgetting the queers?" Crocodile asked. Luffy shook his head. "They'll come along after we've already dealt with Magellan and his people. I still haven't seen what Buggy called their special forces and all-star fighters, which means they're waiting for us." Jinbei thought out loud. "So you plan to take them out before the main forces can be harmed?" Luffy looked up at the fish man. "I need them fresh for the big fight against the Marines." "Understood." Jinbei nodded. "So are your fists for the Warden and they're your bullets for the Marines." Crocodile surmised. "Hatchling is smart." "Good. He's learning to use his brain better." He rubbed his hand on his hook. "Does it matter if we kill or not?" Remembering how the boy and his crew had not killed a single member of his crew. Luffy sighed, his shoulders drooping a bit. "I myself have not taken any lives, but I'm not so stupid to think that won't happen. If it's unavailable, strike them down quickly. Do not play with them like I know you like to do," he answered, looking directly at Crocodile. "That's acceptable," Crocodile responded. "So when do we leave?" "Now, since everyone is distracted," Luffy answered as they quicked out and made their way across the frozen plains to the level 5 exit entrance. It seemed like a race as the three men ran up the spiral staircase towards level 4. Luffy remained a step ahead of the other two, even as Crocodile used his sand ability to fly up the stairs. Flying ahead, Crocodile smirks at the closed door. "Is this supposed to stop us?" he asked as he touched the wooden door. The wood began to instantly disintegrate as his body absorbed and destroyed what little moisture was held into the wood, aging it until it became nothing but dust. At least they hadn't thought of putting sea stone into the wood. That would have been bad, he stated as the soldiers and guards stood dumbfounded. "So who wants to die first?" "Boy, it's hot up here," Jinbei stated as he began to sweat. "Yeah, no kidding," Luffy agreed. "I don't see the strong ones yet," he mumbled. "Just knock these guys out." "Agreed," Crocodile said. "We shouldn't waste energy on cannon fodder." He then grinned. "Of course, where's the fun in that?" The guards gasped as they began shooting at them as one begins to report back to HQ about their situation. The bullets pepper Crocodile's body only for his sand ability to heal each hole up in an instant. "You idiots," one guard yells. "You're supposed to use the sea stone bullets." Before the guards can react, Crocodile flies out towards them. "Barjan," Crocodile swings his right arm forward while leaving a crescent-shaped trail of sand behind it. Anything hit by that trail was instantly robbed of all moisture. The guards' bodies instantly were left dried and shriveled. They turned to dust before hitting the ground in the next second. "Oh, I forgot about that attack," Luffy said offhandedly. Just as the sound of bullets being fired was heard, Luffy stretched his arm above him, grasped the metal chain of the drawbridge being flinging himself into the air high above. Gomu Gomu! Rain! He screamed as his fists began to rain down a barrage of hits, most hitting the guards as some hit the ground, creating large craters into it. Those left behind weren't spared as Jinbei rushed at them with his fishman karate. As his fists hit the air, the guards had been expecting a blow but were surprised when nothing happened. Until it did. Dozens of men were shot out by a sudden pressurized shockwave that hit their bodies, flinging them like they were dolls. Arabesque-tiled true punch. What had happened was Jinbei had transmitted the force of the blow through the water vapor in the air to release a shockwave that sent the guards flying through the air. It hadn't been as powerful as he had hoped due to the heat of level 4 because most of vapor had dissipated away. However, due to their overwhelming strength, all of the guards were quickly taken care of. Luffy glared at Crocodile. The deaths of the men who had fought the Sand Logia would be on Luffy's conscience for a very long time. I gave him permission, he thought. I just didn't think he'd do it so soon. He really is a monster. He tightened his fist. I'll have to keep an eye on him. He might try something against Ace's pops. The sound of a dendon ringing echoed along the halls as the special forces were led by Hannibal. Upon answering it, the vice warden spoke. Were you able to subdue them? No, screamed the guards on the other end. The two ex-warlords have joined the intruder. Straw Hat. We're being killed and defeated on level 4. Killed? The vice warden inquired. That's weird. Throughout his rampage, Straw Hat hasn't actually killed anyone. Who's killing people? Crocodile. The end went dead, causing the vice warden and his men to scramble quickly to the level below them. Crocodile walked down through the cells lining the walls, a ring of keys in his hands as he looked for the person he was searching for before coming to a stop in front of a particular cell. Throwing the keys inside, he watched the lowlives inside scramble for the keys, until they looked up to see who was their savior. They all whimpered at the sight before them. I'm breaking out, he stated, his eyes landing on the man in the back of the cell. Do you care to join me, Mr. 1? All eyes turned towards the man as he lifted his visage towards the former Sand King. I'll come only because you asked nicely, he smirked. I was starting to get bored. On the upper level of floor 2, Buggy and Mr. 3 hid within an unlocked cell along with several others when the alarms had begun to ring throughout the prison. All prison guards to level 4. I repeat, all guards to level 4. No fucking way, that's not for Straw Hat, Buggy said out loud. That guy really is something, Mr. 3 stated. He not only survives Magellan's poison, he survived level 5 and below before returning to level 4. Buggy looked at his companion. Do you really think he made it all the way to level 6? Mr. 3 looked at him. Think about it. They're calling all the guards to level 4, meaning something big is going on down there. That would only happen if level 6 prisoners had escaped. Buggy felt the color in his face drain. Shit, he really is like that guy, he muttered to himself. Even the beasts are running to help. Straw Hat is in for some trouble, that's for certain. He looked at Mr. 3. Well, partner, are you ready to get out of here? Mr. 3 grinned. Of course. He held out a master key he had made from his wax. This should do it for these cells. Buggy swiped the key, opened the door of the unlocked cell they were all hiding it, and appeared before the still locked cellmates. Okay boys, who's ready to bust this joint? He asked the prisoners. You bet. One yelled as a whole set of skeleton keys were thrown at them by Mr. 3. Thanks man, another yelled out as he picked the wax keys up. All you lot have to do is unlock doors as we make our escape, Buggy explained. The more chaos, the better, Mr. 3 told them as the prisoners began to leave their cells. You see, we outnumber the guards, Buggy began but stopped as Mr. 3 interrupted. Even more so now that nearly all have gone down to stop Straw Hat and the escaped prisoners of level 6, the Waxman stated. It also means should any of the all-stars show up, they'll be more likely to fight these guys, which will allow us to escape, Buggy thought deviously. Around them the escaped inmates began to unlock cell after cell on level 2. High above them the surveillance transponder snails began to record all that was happening, sending the video straight to the HQ tower. The guards within suddenly called on the dendons of those on that level. Are there any guards still on level 2? A group of 3 men paused what they were doing. My group is Sir, a young man responded. Begin a full sweep of level 2. We are picking up activity there, the HQ guard stated. In the HQ tower a guard suddenly gasped. I've got Buggy the Jester and he's got Mr. 3 with him. He looked at his supervisor. They're on level 2. Look up you fool, the HQ guard yelled into his transponder snail. On level 2 the guards looked up and gasped in horror. All the cells on the upper floors on the level were being opened one by one. A man with a big red nose and blue hair laughed gleefully as the men were released upon his orders. He stood in front of the crowd with a grin that rivaled that of the late Gold D. Roger. Alright you louds, this is your chance. If you want your freedom, tear this place apart and let's escape. We have nothing to lose. Cause as much mayhem as you like. He yelled gleefully. The faster these guys this place up and riot, the better. He thought. We'll escape and stow away on a marine ship and take it over as quickly as possible. Yes. The inmates screamed happily. Cheers to the great Buggy, others yelled in their joy. He's our savior, hip hip. Hooray. Oh, I could get used to this kind of praise. He thought before he began glancing around for their escape. If only I could actually trust these guys. They'd betray me in a blink. He looked at Mr. 3. Perhaps not all of them would. Screams were heard over the transponders. I don't know how, but all of the prisoners on level 2 have escaped and are causing mayhem. We're outnumbered. The scream transponder units that were broadcasting, including to those who were going down into level 4. Hannibal glared at his Dendon transponder. This is bad, he thought as he and his men made their way to the level where Straw Hat was. Suddenly more bad news came through. Vice Warden, this is level 4. We found the queer Queen Ivankov, Inazuma, and that guy who tricked us, Mr. 2 aka Bon Clay. What? Hannibal gasped. They've got a mob of people who are the ones who disappeared over the years and are storming level 4 as we speak. We need backup. Hannibal felt his resolve begin to shake. That. He stuttered. This can't be happening. He felt faint. There's too many. We'll never defeat all of them. Can I even say I could become warden after this disaster? Ivankov and Bon Clay both jumped for joy at the sight before them. Luffy and Jinbei were finishing off the last of the guards on this level. Crocodile was notably absent. Strawboy, Bon Clay yelled out happily. She. Luffy laughed. Looks like you've got your energy back. Bon Clay did a spin. Of course I do. I've never felt better. Just then a man with a tattoo and a cloud of sand quickly passed the mob of people. Luffy began chasing after them with Bon Clay. Mr. 1, is that you? He asked a bit shocked. You know him? Luffy inquired. Of course I do. He stated. Your swordsman defeated him back in Alabasta. It was quite the defeat. Luffy blinked at that. Oh, sorry, I didn't fight him then. Zoro never said whom he fought. Bon Clay looked stunned. You're kidding. Nope. Luffy said. If it was a good fight, Zoro keeps it to himself unless asked. Interesting. Bon Clay said, amazed by the character of that man once again. Just then, Eva yelled out, Imperio face growth. Luffy looked behind himself, his eyes growling large. Whoa! Ivankov's head grew nearly as big as Luffy did when he inflated his entire body when he fought that giant a few months back. Hell wink. The remaining guards on the bridge screamed as a shockwave of energy hit them. The mob quickly running over those who didn't get out of their way. Those in charge of the guards whimpered in fear. We need help, they screamed into their transponder snails. We cannot stop them. Keep going, Luffy yelled as he punched another guard away. Crocodile used his sands to throw guards into the nearby cells. Jinbei used another form of karate to kick the guards away as Inazuma and Mr. 1 used their devil fruit blades to cut the guards away from the weaker fighters. They were close to the exit. They just needed a few more pushes before they could lose to level 3. Hannibal. The Vice Warden jumped as his transponder yelled out at him. Warden Magellan. Oh, how he never thought he'd be happy to hear that bastard's voice. We're having a major. Don't worry, I've taken care of level 2. The warden assured him. Next to him several members of his team wore poison masks as he shot out his poison ooze out at the prisoners. Down the halls Mr. 3 quickly acted, placing a thick wax wall between himself, Buggy and those with them and the poisonous ooze. Nice thinking. Buggy praised his partner before looking at the prison exit. But that bastard Magellan has covered the exit in his poison. We can't escape. Back with the two wardens, Warden Magellan groused. I just did something that I shouldn't have done. Master Shiryu has been released in order to assist us in this mess. Until I get down to level 4, you're to get those inmates under control. It is your responsibility now to do so. Hannibal looked at the transponder nervously. And don't mess it up. Hey crab guy. Where's the exit to level 3? Luffy yelled at Inazuma before stretching his arms out on either side of the group of soldiers, pressing them as far back as he could and kicking them to the opposite side of their path. Without missing a beat, Inazuma pointed with his blades. The bridge to the left. Suddenly chaos began to erupt towards their right. It's the blue gorillas and Chief Saldeth. Who? Luffy asked as he spotted the beasts from level 2 down here being controlled by a small man blowing a flute-like weapon made from sea stone. Bon Clay growled. He's one of the chief guards of Impel Down. He explained. He controls the blue gorillas. Kill that freak with the big gigantic bloated head, yelled an injured guard. He's the queer queen. Hey, my head isn't gigantic or bloated. Eva growled with annoyance. It's face growth synthesis. He jumped out of the mob at the blue gorillas. Hell wink. The beasts were thrown back and away into the guards. All he did was wink and it threw them back. Saldeth gasped in shock. Nobody should have been able to defeat over 24 of his blue gorillas and yet this man had. I don't get it, a guard said. How can they be so strong? They're frightening. Another guard whimpered. Eva turned towards Luffy. Straw Hat Boy, leave these weaklings to us. We can handle them. You need to get to that boat with your strongest and you need to help your brother. Right. Luffy dropped the guard he'd been fighting. Suddenly screams were heard. It's the all-star demon guards. Eva turned towards his people. They've sent 3. Is about time. Saldeth breathed. Mistress Sadie is here. The guards felt relief. That's right. I'm here boys, she said as she walked out from behind her beasts. It's over now. So bow down, kiss my feet and take your punishment. Jinbei ran up towards Luffy who was rushing off towards the exit. I'll help you Luffy. I'll admit that fighting on land isn't my forte but I can be of some assistance. I'm not complaining, you seem plenty strong enough to me. Luffy stated as they continued to run towards the exit. Gomu Gomu. Wait. A group of the Okama suddenly were blocking them. We shall fight them, another stated. As Eva stated, you need to go and quickly. These seem tough. Luffy gasped noticing the weapons these guys held. That's right. They're a part of the fighter division. Eva stated proudly. These guys have lost friend who were killed by those guards of level 4. More importantly they have a bone to pick with these 2 chief of the guards and the demon beasts. The Okama fighters began shooting at the approaching beasts first with smoke screens that allowed other melee fighters to approach. When the beasts didn't fall, they shot out of cannons that looked like RPG's sea stone chains. The heavy chains wrapped around the beasts. No, my babies, Mistress Sadie yelled out. Shake those chains off, she screamed at them. The metal chains began to break as the beasts fought the tightening of them by the prisoners. As the metal broke the beast began to pound and trample the inmates. They're a bit more formidable than I thought, Eva stated as he turned to run. That was stupid, even for you. Crocodile said as he turned into sand and flew after Straw Hat and Jinbei who were using the chaos to escape. With the jailer beasts distracted the 3 men ran at them. Gomu, Gomu, Giant, 5,000 brick fight, Sandstorm. All 3 beasts turned to defend themselves but were too late as the attacks came in quick and hard. Mistress Sadie screamed in horror as her beloved beasts were thrown behind her against the wall of cells. As the dust settled it revealed them all to be utterly defeated. Mistress Sadie turned to look at the 3 men. Just who are these monsters? How dare you? She screamed as she pulled out her whip to keep the escapees from going to the next level above. Sadie whips at her opponents with a pitchfork with a concealed whip. This attack is strong enough to smash the stone bridge. Damn it! Luffy cursed as he went to use an attack on her when suddenly Eva grabbed him from behind and threw him behind the wicked BDSM-dressed jailer. Didn't I tell you to keep running? Eva groused at the young man. Your opponent is me now you naughty girl. Naughty? Sadie screamed. It's Mistress Sadie you ugly-headed bastard. "Oh, such dirty words," Eva said back. "Imperio female hormones." He jumped over the "now sometimes it's nice to have a girl-on-girl fight." Eva's body had taken on the form of a woman, no longer a man. She jumped at Sadie. "Man or woman? Make up your mind, you freak," Sadie yelled as she barely dodged the kick at her face by Ivankov. Eva laughed. "Oh please. Jealousy doesn't suit you, little one," she said with a smirk as her female body bounced a bit with excitement. "I've never fought a queen before." Sadie licked her lips. "I wonder if you'll scream." "A woman's favorite weapon isn't just her beauty," Eva quipped as she jumped and somersaulted and kicked at Sadie's face. "So sad. You must have forgotten because you're so busy cracking that whip around." They both kicked at each other. "You're too slow," Sadie yelled as she cracked her whip and caught Ivankov by her neck. "Maybe I should behead you after all, but then I won't get a chance to torture you and hear you beg for mercy. So I'm going to do this nice and slow. Let me hear you scream." Ivankov grasped the whip and struggled to get free. Flicking the end of the whip, Sadie sent Eva flying into the stone pile that was left of the ruined bridge. As the dust billowed around her body, Eva gave a cry of pain. "My bones, you've shattered me." Mistress Sadie grinned when suddenly she saw Eva standing perfectly fine. "Or not, you can't hurt me." "How?" Sadie gasped. "When I injected myself with female hormones, I made myself more pliable, which allows me to absorb any kind of shock, which includes your whip and this pile of rocks." "How dare you!" she screamed. Luffy stood up from the wall rubble that Eva had thrown him into. "Did you really need to throw me so hard?" He blinked in surprise as a woman dressed as Eva kicked Sadie to the side. "Who's that?" "Straw Hat," Inazuma yelled. "To the door. We're almost to level 3. "Right," Luffy yelled as a yeehaw came from the woman dressed like Eva. "Okay. Weird." He then grinned excitedly before rushing off towards the door with the others. That was when the door opened by itself. People kept running forward, but Luffy could sense something was happening. "I think it's time to use that ability that Sabo taught me. He said I was a natural. So maybe if I focus." "This is the fortress of hell." Hannibal spun his weapon to stop all from passing. "None shall escape it." "Who is that?" Luffy wondered. Shaking his head, Luffy saw the guard beside and behind this man. "Right." Taking a deep breath, Luffy focused his energy and the will within himself. He'd done this once before at Sabaody, a few times before during his travels with his crew, and 4 times during his training on Dawn with Sabo, who had been shocked when he'd done it. With the will of his entire being, Luffy threw out his haki at the man and his guards. The intimidating look he gave with the sheer amount of will to get past them threw Hannibal and his men off and overwhelmed them. The men fell onto their backs, foam escaping their lips as Luffy's will threw them all into shock and forced them into unconsciousness. Hannibal's legs shook as he fell face first to the ground. His vision slowly blurred before darkness overtook him. Everyone froze. Crocodile felt his cigar fall from his lips. The amazing willpower of this boy. He keeps impressing me, he thought. This boy, my hatchling, he's going to overwhelm this damn world. Luffy panted. "Okay. Let's go," he said, his legs wobbling slightly. "I think I overdid it a bit." He suddenly felt a hand grasp him. Looking up, he saw Jinbei standing next to him. "Let me help you," he said, a frown crossing his face. "He's more than what Ace told me from that time. He's got Conqueror's haki. This boy." He closed his eyes for a second. He might change this world if allowed to. He grinned at that thought as his eyes reopened. He could see a deep tiredness in the boy. "Thanks, Jinbei," Luffy said with a nod as the larger man placed him on his back. "I could use a little rest." Jinbei turned towards their group, who were still staring in shock, some not quite understanding what just happened, though others did. "You heard him, boys. Let's go." As they passed the unconscious guards across level 4, Warden Magellan arrived on the floor with his own troops by taking the secondary staircase from HQ. He hadn't really thought his plan through by destroying the elevator like he had done. Hindsight and all that. He had to stop the rioting and then destroy those and change. However, as he and his troops arrived at the primary staircase, he was left shocked at the sight before him. All of Hannibal's troops, along with the vice warden, were unconscious. Mistress Sadie and her demon beasts were left bloodied and out of commission. The blue gorillas and Saldeth were also beyond defeated. Also, not a single guard from this level was awake. What the hell happened here? He growled as his fists tightened at his side. Domino, find the prisoner and see to where Shiryu is. Sir? She asked with a single raised brow. I released him on the premises he would handle Straw Hat or at least slow him down. He looked at the woman. Find him. The green, blonde-haired woman nodded before rushing off to find a working transponder and get a full report from the HQ control tower on Shiryu's current whereabouts. This whole ordeal was turning into a true disaster.